here we go. We're going to get these rackets.
All right, welcome to the quarterfinals of Grand Prix Salt Lake City. I am Brian David Marshall, and he is still Ben Swartz.
Hello.
And we are still about to watch Tom Martell playing Spirit Delvers against Marcel Zafra playing a more traditional blue-white Delver in the top 8 of this Grand Prix. Tom Martell has rattled off 10 straight wins. He had 3 buys. He took draws in the first 2 rounds of actual play, and then has won every single match he's played since.
So there you go, a nice little look at the buys, the brackets. But yeah, Martell also on a tear. This is the second straight Grand Prix that he's had a top 8 performance at. The last Grand Prix he played was Grand Prix Indianapolis, which he of course won.
Right, and he didn't actually get defeated there. He talked about he took a loss because he scooped to somebody. But it was very interesting in this match, in this event. He came down to the final round today with 2 draws, all but guaranteed into the top 8. He can draw with his opponent, Tyler Hickox, and put him into the top 8 as well. But because of the new rules that were instituted that really kicked in, this is the first major weekend where these have been a factor. The player with the highest seed in each match, based on Swiss standings, gets to choose whether they're going to play or draw in the top 8.
Right.
Tom Martell very much wants to be on the play. You see Delver, 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 blue-white humans. Right? Those are all decks. I mean, obviously he wants to be on the play against everything, but really...
Right, in the Delver matchup.
In those really tight, very, very narrow margin matchups, being on the play is going to be a big deal for him.
So there you go. We get a good look at the match. On the left of your screen, we've got Tom Martell, Grand Prix Indianapolis champion with his Spirit Delver deck, and he's facing against the Canadian Marcel Zafra on the right of your screen, playing a more traditional blue-white Delver deck. The players are shuffled up and ready to begin, and here we go. Looks like both players are going to keep their hand, and since Martell was first in the Swiss standings, he gets to start and starts things off with a Gitaxian Probe. Get a nice little look at Marcel's hand.
So we see a Delver, we see a Moorland Haunt, a Mana Leaf.
All right, open players.
Is that a Dungeon Geist?
I believe it's an Invisible Stalker.
Invisible Stalker?
Stuck in between a pair of islands and a Glacial Fortress. So Martell writing those cards down. He wants to remember them.
Feature match.
And cross them off as they see play.
Table 1.
Right. So
Jason Henry.
he points at the Delver, pretending it's like a Thoughtseize.
Report to the feature match tent.
And let's see if Tom has a Delver on turn 1. It doesn't look like it, but it looks like he's going to cast Ponder on turn 1.
Feature match tent for your feature match this round.
So Martell looks at the top 3 cards of his library. Gitaxian Probe, Snapcaster Mage, Gitaxian Probe. Decides if he wants to keep them. This sort of setup for the first couple turns of the game, especially in these Delver decks, is really important. Knowing what your opponent has, figuring out if you were them, what their plan would be for the game, and then constructing your plan around that, I'm sure is what Tom's doing right now.
Right. And for Tom, his plans also, what he's looking for is a little different than what Marcel is looking for, right? Marcel's looking to get one guy down and protect it, where Tom is really looking to build an overwhelming air force and enhance it with the Crusade-like effect of the Drug Skull Captain. So again, this is like 70-odd cards identical to the deck that he went 9-1 in Standard with at Pro Tour Dark Ascension.
Sure. And Martell chooses to shuffle off his Ponder.
It's a 19-1-2 with this deck.
Amazing. And let's see what card he gets off the top from Ponder. So there we go. Martell drawing 1 card from Ponder. What is it going to be? Moorland Haunt, it looks like. He passes the turn back to Marcel. Marcel has a strong turn 1 play with Delver of Secrets, the eponymous card of the deck. And he passes the turn back to Martell. No creature for Martell, but a lot of sort of filtering with those Ponders. And here he casts another one. So let's see what he ends up doing with
it. He shuffled back the Snapcaster and the 2 Gitaxian Probes.
This time he's got a Glacial Fortress, a Mana Leak, one other card he's pondering about. He doesn't have a Delver in his hand, so, stacking the top of his library to put an instant or sorcery on top is not what he's looking to do. Obviously, that's what Marcel wants to do if he had a Ponder, since he does have the Delver in play.
Jeff Ron,
looks like Tom is going to put a, I believe, a Gitaxian Probe on top. And draw that. Play Dark Slick Shores.
Right, his mana is a little more challenging because he's playing the, sort of Esper base, so he can flash back Lingering Souls.
And interesting here, Tom has a Gitaxian Probe he could play here, but he decides to just pass the turn. I mean, he already knows the majority of Marcel's hand. Why not use it later to get more information later on in the game? He doesn't need the card right now.
And one of the things that Tom and John and those guys are talking about with their deck is they really felt that it was very important to hold on to their probes. I mean, not necessarily in this matchup, but in different matches, they felt like, using them more strategically, so that you could figure out when you were going to be able to force something through, when your opponent was going to have a board sweeper, whether or not they had double whip flare, or whether or not they had the mana leak or something like that. So, they tend to be a little more strategic. They tend to just not just go willy-nilly with them.
Sure. Marcel here is unable to transform his Delver, but is able to cast an Invisible Stalker in his turn. It looks like Martel's going to take this opportunity and Vapor Snag Delver back to Marcel's hand.
Okay, open players, welcome to round 6. You have 50 minutes. Please begin.
It's interesting to see how Martell plays Magic, especially in this tournament. It's really deliberate. He's taking his time, thinking through all of his options. I mean, he's gotten 2 unintentional draws in this tournament, but he also has not lost one. So perhaps taking a little extra time and thinking about it has made the difference for him. So he does end up using this Gitaxian Probe, paying 2 life, falling to 15, and he gets to look at a couple of fresh cards that Marcel drew, Vapor Snag and Snapcaster, Mana Link among them. So Tom draws a land, a Glacial Fortress. Then he knew that was there from Ponder. And ends up playing a Drog Skull Captain for his turn. So he's starting the Spirit Chain of his deck.
Right, again, if you can get 2 Drog Skull Captain and another Drog Skull Captain, or a Captain and a Phantasmal Image, he'll have 2, 3/3 hexproof flyers. Mm-hmm. And then every Spirit token he makes is also a 3/3 hexproof flyer.
Yeah, it's really interesting. He's playing a full playset, 4 Phantasmal Images in his deck. Sort of multiply the number of lords he has.
Right, which if he gets that down, like, he completely nerfs the Vapor Snag component of his opponent's deck.
For sure. So Marcel here recasting that Delver of Secrets that got Vapor Snagged by Tom on the previous turn. And he'll pass the turn back after getting in for 1 with his Invisible Stalker. Marcel holding back with his Mana Leak, a couple more of his controlling spells. Martell drew a Gut Shot for the turn, so likely he's going to use that on Delver. Make sure he gets it before it transforms.
Get himself down to 12. Mostly by his own hand here.
2 from Gitaxian Probe, 2 from Gitaxian Probe, maybe 2 more from Gut Shot. I mean, as I was watching Tom throughout the day, he was taking quite a bit of damage from his spells. He'd consistently be at 12 life or less. But somehow he'd always end up edging it out, even against some of the aggressive decks. I watched him play against Jackie Lee earlier in the tournament. Jackie Lee narrowly missing top 8 here. And he got down to a very low life total before defeating her. And here he gets in with Drog Skull Captain.
Please return to your seat. Your problem has been solved.
And then Gut Shots Marcel's Delver of Secrets. So Marcel falls to 17, Tom to 12. Does Tom have another play? I see a Dungeon Geist in hand, but no real target out of Marcel. Looks like he'll just hold back with Mana Leak up.
Right.
Ooh, Vapor Snag will try to take out the Drog Skull Captain. Let's see if Tom wants to let that one fly. See, maybe Marcel is trying to get rid of a Mana Leak that's perhaps in Tom's hand. He doesn't know it's in Tom's hand.
Or just feel him out, right? Like,
right.
Step out on the ice and see if it cracks.
So yeah, Tom is going to go ahead and Mana Leak that Vapor Snag, but now Marcel might be confident that he can cast a Dungeon Geist here and tap down that Drog Skull Captain. But first he'll get in with Invisible Stalker. And yeah, Dungeon Geist tapping your Drog Skull Captain. It's a shame that Tom used that Mana Leak. before. I mean, I guess either way, the Drogskill Captain wouldn't be able to attack this turn. But Tom has a Dungeon Geist of his own, so if he wants, he can cast Dungeon Geist to tap down Marcel's Dungeon Geist. And use this opportunity that Marcel is tapped out to do so.
I kind of think he has to here, right?
I mean,
It's a 4/4 hexproof.
yeah. Martel's only 11 life, so if Marcel gets something like a Rune Chanter's Pipe, could spell... Well, I guess Marcel doesn't have any instant sorceries in his graveyard, but with some sort of equipment.
That changes quickly, right?
Yeah. So Dungeon Geist does come down, tapping down Marcel's Dungeon Geist. Invisible Stalker will get in for 1, dropping Tom down to 10. And Marcel will pass the turn holding Snapcaster Mage and Mana Leak. Let's see what Martell ends up doing. First, he's going to ponder, consider his options. It's actually a really powerful interaction, right? His Dungeon Geist is a spirit. All the creatures in Tom's deck, except for Delver of Secrets, and Snapcaster Mage are spirits, right? Drogskill Captain, Dungeon Geist, Phantasmal, which will likely be a spirit. All the Lingering Souls tokens. So here he's going to shuffle with Ponder. And you get a good look at Tom Martell, Grand Prix Indianapolis champion. Calm and collected. Carefully shuffling his deck from Ponder. His opponent, Marcel Zafra from Canada.
4th in Canadian Nationals last season.
So Tom's going to draw a card from Ponder. Looks like a Dark Slick Shores. Tom needs maybe a little bit more action, but a 4/4 Dungeon Geist is good right now, dropping Marcel down to 13. Play that Dark Slick Shores, which will enter the battlefield tapped. And at end of turn, Marcel will exile the Delver of Secrets in his graveyard to put a 1/1 Flying Spirit token into play via Moorland Haunt. Looks like a Gut Shot was drawn for Marcel. That one doesn't seem too effective right now.
No. I heard you guys talking about like the red-green on red-green matchup, how Hedrick was able to go a little bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the
Two
trick
giant
to why this deck
players.
is advantaged
Pairings
in
for the fourth and
the
final
Delver
round
matchup
are
because it's
being
bigger.
posted.
Sure. Another
Two giant
Gitaxian
players,
Probe
your
for
final round
Tom.
pairings are being
No way he's
posted.
going to use Phyrexia
Yeah.
mana to pay for that one. He'll pay just a normal blue mana. Take a look at Mana Leak, Snapcaster Mage, Gut Shot. So, I mean, looks like Tom has one turn advantage on Marcel, but Marcel can always play that Snapcaster. Gut Shot Tom, Snapcaster and Gut Shot him again, and attack, for 4 on the following turn. That'll
You
put
can
him
also
to 2
do
life.
that to the Drogskill Captain
Sure. So Tom's got to consider that. I mean,
if he's got a way to deal with the dungeon. Not going to do that.
Tom's going to get in here for 4 with Dungeon Geist, dropping Marcel down to 9, but Tom's on an effective 2-turn clock from Marcel. Marcel's on a 3-turn clock from Tom. So Tom's got to be a little bit careful here. You wish that, all of those draw spells didn't draw him
No, he is going to...
lands. Okay, so Gut Shot your Dungeon Geist, your Drogskill Captain, Snapcaster my Gut Shot it again to destroy it. Sure, I'll go to 5, that's fine. I got 4 power.
I think Marcel has another Dungeon Geist.
We just saw his hand. The last card was Mana Leak, right?
Okay. You're right.
Pairings for round number 3 of the Modern Challenge are now going up. Players in the Modern Challenge,
So-
please find your seats. Your pairings are now going up.
Yeah, Marcel attacks in here for 3, dropping Tom down to 5, holding back a blocker for that Dungeon Geist, if Martell wants to attack in with it, but... Marcel here playing around that Moorland Haunt that Tom's going to use to exile a creature in his graveyard and block the Snapcaster Mage, so... Martell's turn. Let's see what he ends up doing. Dungeon Geist back to being a 3/3. Tom's got to be careful because, again, there's another creature in Marcel's graveyard, the Snapcaster Mage. that he can use his Moreland Hunt to get a Spirit token. So Marcel's representing 2 damage here. A Rune Chanter's Pike might be enough, and there is a Rune Chanter's Pike. I can't see his graveyard. I can't see Marcel's graveyard. I don't know how many instant sorceries there are in there. I think there's just 1 maybe, or 0. I see. Martell's at 7 because he was able to activate the Moreland Haunt. So the Snapcaster didn't get in. So just a Vapor Snag in Marcel's graveyard. So Rune Chanter's Pike would give +1/+0 in first strike. Marcel considering his options, considering playing that Rune Chanter's Pike. Yep, looks like he will. And will he equip it to the Invisible Stalker?
It's an Invisible Stalker. He gets Martell to 5, has a token to block.
That Mana Leak is pretty much dead at this point, with Martell having 7 lands.
Remember, these players have looked at each other's deck lists, so there's not like there's any surprise information or unknown cards.
And yeah, Marcel's going to equip that Rune Chanter's Pike to Invisible Stalker, dealing 2 to Tom, dropping him to 5 life, and Tom draws Lingering Souls. Man, what a beating. Unless Marcel has something like Thought Scour to put a bunch of instants and sorceries into his graveyard. That Lingering Souls looks like...
Tom pats his head. Little Three Stooges bit there.
Does Tom have an extra land? Because if not, Marcel could Mana Leak one of the copies of the flashback copy of Lingering Souls with only 7 lands. So Martell considering about getting him with the Dungeon Geist. Looks to be the case. Can Marcel take it? No, he'll chump block. Can't afford to go down to 2 life.
Martell has 2 turns on paper here. 2 turns as the board stands.
Right, but if Marcel draws something like a Thought Scour...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying just...
So,
and the Mana Leak actually changes things.
Puts on a 2-turn clock. But Martell will pay for the Mana Leak off the Lingering Souls, and flashback Lingering Souls, putting 4 1/1 Spirit tokens into play. So Martell's threatening lethal damage on the following turn. So Marcel really needs...
He needs Thought Scour.
Thought Scour, yeah. Ponder, Thought Scour. He's slow rolling it. What is it? Ponder. So he's got another chance to look. The top 3. +2/+0 for Invisible Stalker. And he draws Vapor Snag. And that's going to be it.
Yep.
Wow. Marcel Zafra takes the first game here in the quarterfinals of Grand Prix Salt Lake City. So I think we're going to pull up a little graphic of these players' deck lists and talk a little bit about how they might sideboard in this match. You see Marcel praying there a little bit. Doing a little cross. So
You can see the deck list under there.
There we go. We got Martell's deck list and Zafra's deck list. So tell us...
So no Geist of St. Traft in Tom Martell's deck.
Nope.
Right? And you can see where the decks sort of line up. Drugstore Captain, where Marcel has Geist. They both have Snapcaster Mages. Tom is maxing out on Phantasmal Images and has 2 Dungeon Geists, where there's Invisible Stalkers, 1 Dungeon Geist from Mr. Zafra. But what we're looking at is looking into the sideboard. I mean, 2 more Dungeon Geists.
Yeah, I mean, very likely.
Go up a Mana Leak or Dissipates, which we've seen be fairly relevant. Surgical Extraction's also a fine card that we've seen come in. Revoke Existence on Marcel's equipment. Marcel, on the other hand, he's going to bring in. He's also going to want to bring in 2 Dungeon Guides. He's also going to want to bring in Surgical Extraction. He's also going to want to bring in Dissipate. Does he want to bring in the Phantasmal Images?
I mean, them knowing each other's list is really important.
Yeah.
Likely you want to bring in the Phantasmal Images, right? If you can catch one of those Dungeon Geists or even Snapcaster Mage is good. Getting a Delver Secrets. I mean, all of Martell's creatures seem pretty good to steal,
right?
In effect, with Phantasmal Image. Be interesting to see doesn't look like... I mean, Martell doesn't have any equipment, right? So Steel Sabotage is something that will stay in Marcel's sideboard. But it's interesting. Another interesting thing to note is that Marcel has 0 Gitaxian Probe, right?
Right.
But Martell's maxing out on 4, and this is sort of the split, one of the splits between many of the different Delver versions, whether or not you play Gitaxian Probe or not. But I think the players are ready for us. Oh, they're studying each other's lists just like we were doing. It looks like Tom's actually boarding out the Dungeon Geist. So, I remember Matt Costa and Jason Ford talking about this. This is sort of a similar matchup to the quarterfinals at Pro Tour Dark Ascension, where Matt Costa was playing sort of a normal blue-white Delver deck against John Finkel, who was playing the Spirit Delver deck. And their argument was that Dungeon Geist isn't even good against their deck. They're playing the Invisible Stalkers.
We have a player already through to the semifinals. James Cooper just blew past Brian O'Vera. Brian's deck looked, really impressive. We got to see it on camera earlier, but it was no match for James Cooper's red-green ramp deck.
Wow.
Inferno Titans, Primeval Titans, Acidic Slimes, Thrun, Huntmaster, just rolled over the white weenie deck of Brian O'Vera.
Sure, that's a tough matchup. Other updates we have is Shahar Shenhar and Michael Hetrick on the other side of the bracket are split, 1 game apiece.
And those guys know each other really well. They're in the same play circles. They play all the time. It's kind of similar to the match Shahar had against Ricky Sitter at the Grand Prix that preceded Worlds.
Grand Prix San Diego.
Grand Prix San Diego, yeah.
That's the one that Shahar won.
Yeah.
And allowed him to qualify, actually, for Worlds in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Another update we have is Michael Peterson is up 1 game against David Fleischer. So there you see James Cooper with a Wolf Run ramp into the semifinals already. And the rest of the bracket.
Right, up on top, that's tied 1 apiece. Down on the bottom, that's 1 game to Michael Peterson. And, of course, Marcel Zafra, we just watched him take game 1 against Tom Martell, pondering into the lethal Vapor Snag that he needed to add multiple points of damage. He got a little life loss from the Vapor Snag, and then he got an extra bonus on his Runechanter's Pike, which was equipped to an Invisible Stalker, which just slipped by for the final points of damage, just after Martell had finally found a Lingering Souls.
Yeah, Martell planned it out, so this is your last turn. Good luck trying to beat me. And Marcel peeled that card, slowly revealed the Ponder.
Didn't we see him do that earlier? Peel the card for peel the gut shot, kind of like put it here, squeeze it, pick it up, like, oh.
Ooh, gut shot, boom.
Oh, look, a Ponder.
And then Ponder into
anything.
Vapor Snag, yeah. Close anything. Players are shuffling up for game 2.
Just shuffle, like 3 lands and then shuffle. Like,
slide that one down.
Oh, that's a good squeeze.
Much better squeeze if it were in the finals.
Yeah, sure.
Or if it were in game 3. So, game 2 action coming up for you guys right here on GG's Live, bringing you coverage of Grand Prix Salt Lake City quarterfinals.
Tom Martell remains on the play.
Yep.
$10 draft number 37.
See if the players keep their hands.
Come on up to the side of the stage.
Looks like Martell's happy with his Gitaxian Probe in his hand.
37.
And Marcel will also keep his. So turn 1 Gitaxian Probe. Let's see Marcel's hand. Let's get a good look at it.
Snapcaster Mage, Runechanter's Pike, Geist of Saintcraft, Invisible Stalker. Is that a Moorland Haunt?
Yeah, Moorland
Delver
Haunt.
Secrets and is that Seachrome Coast?
Seachrome Coast.
Yeah.
Marcel also taking an opportunity to see which cards, write down which cards Tom has seen.
Right. Something we saw Paulo Vitor Damarosa doing in his matches whenever he would get probed.
Mm-hmm. So now Tom's crafting a plan. He's going to draw that card off of Gitaxian Probe. And looks like he's going to play Seachrome Coast, cast Ponder. Similar start that he had last game. So he'll look at those top 3 cards, consider which one he wants. Place one on top, he's hiding it from us. Change it again. Really wants to hold his hand in his hand. One more time, let's try this.
Follow the queen. Which one's the queen?
Is that good? Tom good with that? Okay.
Now shuffle.
And Tom draws Lingering Souls, passing the turn back to Marcel. Marcel will cast Delver of Secrets.
Delver's got another Delver coming.
Tom will
Commander
draw
number
and
6.
play
Coming up to the side of its stage, Commander number 6.
land and pass the turn. Delver will not transform. Get in for 1, dropping Tom down to 17. And another Delver for Marcel. Is that going to be okay? Is that going to fly?
I don't think so.
Tom does have Mana Leak.
He kind of has to Mana Leak it here, right? Like he.
Well, you Mana Leak here and then you cast Lingering Souls on your turn?
Well, you don't Mana Leak here and then you cast Lingering Souls and your opponent gets to do whatever they want for a couple turns.
Sure. It depends what's on. I don't know what's on the top of Tom's deck.
Sure. He wouldn't show us.
Yeah. Let's keep it secret even to us. So Tom's still considering whether or not he wants to let that Delver resolve. Looks like Mana Leak. Yep.
Pretty confident he wasn't going to.
Tom draws Snapcaster Mage. So that's another reason to Mana Leak is to put it in your graveyard so you have something on turn 4 to
Right.
Snapcaster back. And Lingering Souls for Tom Martell.
Card that they hid from him in game 1. Right? It's a
Yeah.
Doug. We have a transformed
Delver of Secrets.
Delver of Secrets off of a Ponder on top of Marcel's deck.
So that Ponder is looking at Glacial Fortress, Moorland Hunt, and another Delver of
Standard
Secrets
winner box
for
number 13
Marcel.
is ready to fire. Players, please come
Likely,
up to the public event stage.
he's got to keep it because he needs the lands, but he doesn't want that
Standard
Delver,
number
really. He's kind of stuck on 2 lands. Let's see what he ends up doing. Marcel pondering his ponder. And both players taking their time, making sure they don't make a mistake. Very, very high stakes. Especially for Marcel, I don't think he's qualified
Right.
for the Pro Tour. So this match determines whether or not he's going to qualify for Pro Tour Avacyn Restored. So looks like he'll keep it and play Glacial Fortress.
Does not want to send his Aberration into the 2 tokens.
I mean, it makes sense. Trade for half of Tom's Lingering Souls. I don't think that's a good trade.
Sure. And he knows he's got the Runechanter's Pike.
Yep.
Oh, but there's a Dungeon Geist.
Tapping
Tap
down.
it down. Smash for 2.
Now it's Marcel's turn. Let's see what he's got. Draws another land. A Moorland Haunt in this case, and he's got an Invisible Stalker and a Runechanter's Pike he pulls to the front of his hand. So maybe he plays both of those in this turn. Set up for a powerful turn in the future, but as it is right now, I mean, if Tom has a Drugskull Captain,
Drugskull Captain is just brutal here.
it's for
Attack for 8.
8, yeah. So Marcel's got to take that into account. It's one of the nice things about the Delver decks, right? Is I'm thinking about what you have, and I really have to set it up.
Plays Invisible Stalker and Runechanter's Pike. And hopes for the best.
Yep. So Tom goes to his turn. Let's see what he gets. Swamp. He's got a good Taxian Probe. Probably going to fire that one off. Hope to draw Drugskull Captain.
Your standard winner box is waiting on you.
And if he draws a Drugskull Captain, you can play Drugskull Captain and play Phantasmal Image, copying Drugskull Captain. And that's, what is that, 6, 11 damage?
Yeah.
And 2, 3, 3 hexproof guys?
Yeah. It's a 5/5 and 2/3/3 hexproof attacking this turn.
Well, I mean, also both of the Drogskol captains
Right, yeah.
would be 3/3 hexproof flyers. But Tom wants to think about whether or not the 2 damage is worth taking, or whether or not he wants to just pay a blue to draw a card, or even not even cast the Gitaxian Probe. He knows the majority of Marcel's hand. He could just get in here for 5. But looks like, yeah, he's going to cast Gitaxian Probe. Take a look at Marcel's hand, which is Runechanter's Pike, Geist of St. Traft. And Tom is going to cast Snapcaster Mage, likely flashing back Gitaxian Probe. Maybe not. Changes his mind, untaps his lands. How aggressive does Tom want to get with those Gitaxian Probes? I mean, right now, Marcel only has 1 instant in the graveyard. I believe it's Ponder, right? But we saw how quickly Runechanter's Pike can get out of hand last game. 1 Ponder turns into, another Vapor Snag, another Ponder, maybe a Thought Scour. So Tom's really got to be conservative with his life. He took 8 damage from Phyrexian Mana last game?
Yeah. But he can play Snapcaster Mage, flashback, Gitaxian Probe, go another card deep, and still flashback his Lingering Souls.
Sure. So maybe he'll do that plan. Looks like he's going to just cast Ponder.
Sure.
Look at the top 3. Hide them from us again, maybe? Looks like Revoke Existence, Delver of Secrets, Darkslick Shores. Sets those aside. Starts thinking about which of those 3 he needs. If he needs none of them, maybe he'll shuffle.
I wouldn't mind a Revoke Existence here.
Revoke on the Runechanter's Pike?
Yeah, just get rid of the Pike, and the game becomes a lot simpler, right?
Yeah, but it looks
But
like...
now he's shuffling.
I'll take 1 random off the top, please.
He really just wants to be captain. Huh?
Yeah, I guess so. Or rather, he doesn't want to know that it will be 3 turns until he gets a captain,
Sure.
at most. Or at least. So Tom shuffles. He's going to offer the cut to Marcel and take 1 fresh card off the top. I mean, in all likelihood, this turn he's going to flash back Lingering Souls.
Right, we know he has to swap with his hand.
Right. So draws Vault of the Archangel. Wow. Okay.
That's one of the novel, the new cards in this deck that has changed from his Pro Tour Dark Ascension list.
So Tom flashes back Lingering Souls, attacks in with his Dungeon Geist and pair of Spirit tokens, drops Marcel down to 13 life.
So, by the way, I might attack you with a squadron of Vampire Nighthawks next turn.
Marcel untaps and draws. Still with just 1 sorcery in his graveyard, Ponder. So Runechanter's Pike would give +1/+0 in first strike to the Invisible Stalker. Insectile Aberration still tapped down thanks to the Dungeon Geist of Tom Martell.
Card that really broke out at Pro Tour Dark Ascension.
Dungeon Geist?
Yeah, people weren't really talking about it prior to getting into Hawaii.
Sure. That Geist of St. Traft doesn't look like it will be too effective this game.
I was wondering if he even wanted to leave his Geists in or not.
Yeah.
Knowing the Phantasmal Images.
So Snapcaster Mage for Marcel is going to flashback Ponder. Looks like we're getting more results in.
Booster draft number 38.
We have another semifinalist. Looks like Shahar Shenhar advances to the semifinals.
Continues to knock around his fellow Sacramento area players in the top 8s of North American Grand Prix. Knocked out Ricky Sitter in San Diego. Now he knocks out Michael Hetrick.
And David Gleicher evens his matchup at 1 game apiece against Michael Peterson. So it looks like Ponder resolves. Marcel is going to get in for 1 with Invisible Stalker, play Delver of Secrets, and pass the turn back to Tom. Do your worst, Tom Martell. Marcel really needs a big army to get around the life swing that is Vault of the Archangel.
Which he doesn't know is coming yet.
Oh, sure. Tom taking his time to consider his options again, plan out his future turns. What could Marcel have? What's the best way to attack the best card he could have? I know one of the cards in his hand is, or both of the cards in his hand, Tom knows. Right, he knows Runechanter's Pike and Geist of St. Traff from the Gitaxian Probe that went off last
And
turn.
he's holding a Phantasmal Image in wait for that Geist.
Right. So Tom kind of
Well,
with...
you could also Dungeon Geist here, right? You tap something down and just bash with everything. You could just play the Vault of the Archangel, attack with everything, gain 7-9 life.
That doesn't seem too bad, dropping Marcel down to
And going
4.
up to 23.
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to drop down to 4. I mean, he could block the Snapcaster Mage.
Sure, with like
Yeah.
a Delver or
Yeah.
the Snapcaster Mage of his own. And then Marcel will have some more fodder in his graveyard for those pair of Moorland Haunts that he has. A lot for Tom to think about here. I think he's counting up what the maximum could be on the crackback, but he'll just get in with all of his guys.
Did not play the Vault first.
Attention Magic players.
So likely he's going to cast Dungeon Geist on whichever creature is still alive for Marcel. So yeah, Snapcaster will trade to Snapcaster. Marcel will take 7. Go to 6. Ooh, and Tom just passing the turn back with his 6 mana up. Mana Leak will get revealed to transform Delver of Secrets into Insectile Aberration. Marcel looks like he drew a Mana Leak, the Mana Leak that he revealed. To add to his Runechanter's Pike and Geist of St. Traff. So Runechanter's Pike will get equipped to Insectile Aberration.
Attack for 1, leave the insect back.
I mean, Runechanter's Pike's only giving first strike. There are no instants and sorceries in
2
Marcel's
first strikes
graveyard.
still pretty good here.
Yep. He'll be able to take out Dungeon Geist. But little does Marcel... No, there's another Dungeon Geist waiting. End of turn, Tom's going to Snapcaster Mage. I believe this is end of turn, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Just to get another guy out there. And then he's going to Phantasmal Image his Dungeon Geist to tap down the
Sure.
Insectile Aberration. And I think that should be enough. That Mana Leak that Marcel revealed will be unable to counterspell the Phantasmal Image, and Tom will be able to get in for 9 damage here.
Plays the Vault.
Yeah, add insult to injury.
Well, I guess Marcel could make a token and buy 1 more turn.
Okay.
That would make it move. So Tom evens the match up at 1 game apiece. But will be on the draw for game 3.
Yep. Exciting match. Both players go back to their sideboard to consider maybe bringing something else in. Maybe something's better on the play for Marcel that he boarded out.
Maybe he's rethinking. Did we see Phantasmal Images from Marcel?
No.
So maybe he's thinking, oh, those are pretty good, and use those on the Dungeon Geist.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, maybe he thinks Dungeon Geist, that was really good for Tom in the last game. Why not I boarded my 2 that are in the sideboard?
Right. Right, again, assuming he didn't already bring them in.
Sure. And there we get another look at the bracket that's been updated. Shahar Shanahar defeating Michael Hetrick in the quarterfinals, and he will face James Cooper, who defeated Brian Oliver in the quarterfinals. That will be the semifinal match. The winner of that will face off against the winner of the opposite side of the bracket. Whoever wins here, Tom Martell versus Marcel Zafra.
It is guaranteed to be a Delver mirror match.
Yep, in that semifinals. And then, of course, the winner of David Gleicher, Michael Peterson, will face off against the winner of this one. And they will face off against the winner of Cooper and Shanhar. Yeah, so both players going back to their sideboard. referring to each other's lists, making sure they're not missing anything, playing a little mind game.
See, a little mind game. Like, oh, well,
Oh, you're going to pull out your list? I'm going to pull out your list.
Alex Jock, to the main event stage, please.
So, these players, quadruple checking. Make sure of the optimal configuration going into the third game of the quarterfinals. As we said before, a really important match for Marcel. This determines whether or not we will see him at Pro Tour Avison Restored.
Right. Tom Martell, of course, has already locked up platinum status.
Yep.
Is really fighting for to get himself into the mix on the both the national championship of America for the World Magic Cup, and to be the top 5 player for the open seats at the Players Championship.
Yep.
So every pro point is going to matter down the stretch. There are not a lot of Grand Prix left. There's basically Grand Prix Manchester.
I think that's the only one.
And then Pro Tour Avison Restored in Barcelona. So, in that kind of scuffle for the last few points, every single one of them is going to be highly relevant.
And another thing is Tom can throw sort of a wrench in the plan of people who thought they were kind of locks for that Players' Championship. I know Matt Costa thought he was pretty much a lock. He didn't even consider Tom to be a competitor to get one of those 5 slots because he was, clear he's going to be platinum. Sitting on 38 points, though, it's going to be tough for him to really reach that high.
Someone just, wins a Grand Prix. You're like, he's not going to win another
Yeah,
Grand
exactly.
Prix a week later, 2 weeks later, right?
But here Martell is within striking distance of winning a second.
He hasn't really lost a lot of magic lately.
No. I think Tom has really changed his sort of mindset. He used to be sort of like a goofball playing around, but here, both in this match and how he's played this weekend, he's really taken things very, very seriously.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. I mean, and you've seen it even in his pro tours where he's been doing well. So I mean, I think he's someone who's prone to tilt.
Sure.
Earlier on in his career, and then or prone to even maybe a little grandiosity at some point. So he's really just kind of found that, again, what we talked about earlier with Jackie Lee, right? Found that just kind of really, really kind of level, close to the center spot where he's not getting too high or too low after each game and result.
I mean, it also helps that he hasn't lost a match.
Yeah, we don't know, right? We assume he's not going to get too low after the loss. Yeah, he hasn't really done it. Again, 9-1 in standard at Pro Tour Dark Ascension. Went virtually undefeated at Grand Prix Indianapolis, and now is on a 10-0 run here after starting the tournament off with 2 draws after the 3 byes. So round 4 draw, round 5 draw, unintentional, obviously.
Sure.
And has won 10 straight matches, and now is going into Game 3 to see if he can advance to the semifinals, or if Canadian Marcel Angelo Zafra will advance to the semifinals and qualify for Pro Tour Avison Restored.
So it looks like Marcel is going to take a mulligan down to 6 cards. Tom looks like he'll keep his hand. Should be an exciting Game 3. I mean, the strict Delver mirror match, being on the play is really important, but it's a little bit different. I mean, we saw Tom, thanks to the new Swiss rules, be on the play for Game 1 here, and he lost that one to Marcel. Didn't really have a quick start. Marcel did. Game 2, Tom again was on the play. Was able to, as you just saw, quickly dispatch Marcel, mainly thanks to Lingering Souls, which you couldn't find in Game 1.
Right.
And Marcel...
And that's really the dividing line between these
Sure.
two decks, right? Like the Lingering Souls, Drug Skull Captain package versus the Equipment Invisible Stalker package. I'm surprised... Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that there's not. Yeah, I guess I don't know what you cut for the Gataxian probes, but.
So let's take a look at Marcel's 6-card hand. Looks like that one's good. Turn 1 Delvers, or no, I guess not turn 1 Delver to start things off.
He's going to Thought Scour at the end of the turn.
Yep. Tom, however, does have turn 1 Delver off Dark Slick Shores. Marcel's, going to Thought Scour at end of turn. Interesting, he doesn't want to hold that to maybe mill a good card from Tom. Instead of holding up Mana Leak here, he's going to jam an Invisible Stalker onto the battlefield.
Let's do some fighting.
Tom checking. Nope, Drog Skull Captain, not an instant sorcery, but still a good one. Though it doesn't look like Tom has a white mana source.
Right. So trying to set up his next turn.
Off this Ponder. Looks like Mana Leak Island, Drog Skull Captain.
Do you see, is there a white source in there? No.
There's not a white source in there. See, if Marcel held that Thought Scour here, he could, wreck with Tom's plans if he set up something there. But Tom, anyway, is going to shuffle.
Little aggro scour.
Yeah. Not quite mental note.
Yeah.
Tom going to shuffle off this Ponder, get a fresh card, hopefully get a white source. I have to assume what he wants. So, there we go. Percent for a cut. Tom also has Lingering Souls and Revoke Existence. He really wants that white
he's
source.
Like, come on, Glacial Fortress.
Yeah. Or Seachrome Coast is probably better. Let's get Taxing Probe. Let's try it. Let's take another chance.
Interestingly, it looks like he's almost thinking about playing the island and paying the mana, preserving the 2 life for the Taxing Probe here. Nope, he's not going to.
We've seen how aggressive Tom's been.
He's been very good, but he did flute that island with it. But again, if he hits a Ponder or something like that off of this card draw from the Probe, then he can, again, continue to dig deep for cards.
So he reveals Marcel's hand, which is Mana Leak, Dungeon Geist, Island, Moorland Haunt. Tom draws Evolving Wild, so he does get that white source he needs, thanks to that.
Which he kind of has to play this turn if he wants to have access to it next turn. If he wants to be able to cast Lingering Souls or Drug Skull Captain, or revoke a, potentially risky, potentially lethal Runecaster's Pike, Runechanter's Pike.
So Moorland Haunt comes down from Marcel. He's going to get him with his Invisible Stalker. But his hand's still pretty much all known to Tom. Tom in turn is going to sacrifice Evolving Wilds, go get that Plains he needs. Next turn, see if Delver is going to transform. Then, does he play Drog Skull Captain first or Lingering Souls? Likely Lingering Souls,
I think
right?
he's going to play the Lingering Souls, right?
Yeah.
Even if it gets Mana Leaked or, he can just flash it back next
I mean, he'd
turn.
rather it get Mana Leaked because he still has the Drog Skull Captain.
Right.
He actually wants that to
Right.
resolve. And he knows Marcel has Mana Leaked. It looks like we're getting one last
Attention Magic
update.
players. Andres Prost, please report to the side event stage. Baconator 5000, please
So-
report to the side event stage.
Looks like Tom's going to check, and Delver's on top, so he's not going to be able to flip his Delver. And Michael Peterson defeats David Gleischer
Yeah.
to advance to the semifinals. So he will face the winner of this match here.
And that was Delver of Delver.
Yep.
So we do have a Delver semifinals, but I think, maybe we'll go to the semifinals, go watch
Shinhar versus Cooper.
Cooper. Yeah. Get a look at that ramp deck in action.
Hopefully they didn't start without us. So Tom considering his options here. He does have quite a few cards in hand. Drog Skull Captain, Delver, Lingering Souls, Divine Offering. A couple of lands. He cannot attack in with his Delver.
Do you know about the Mana Leak?
Yes.
Yeah.
But he can't attack in with his Delver because Marcel played the Moorland Haunt and has Geist of St. Treff thanks to Thought Scour in his graveyard. So Marcel can create a 1/1 Flying Spirit token.
But wouldn't that be fine? Tap them out and then resolve Lingering Souls?
Oh, sure. Doesn't seem that bad.
That seems fine to me.
If he can trick Marcel like that.
I mean, again, he's capable of putting so much pressure on. He's gonna.
I guess he would rather have the damage, right?
Right.
Lingering Souls, are you going to Mana Leak this? If not,
Right, 6/1 here, right? Yeah, which way are you going to take it? He's like, no, that resolves. That's fine.
okay, I'll take my 2 spirits. They're going to be supercharged soon. Watch out. Marcel's really...
Will Tom attack?
No, there's no way. But Marcel will go ahead and make that token. But he couldn't untap faster. Why is he so excited? Ponder. Of the top 3. Sword of War and Peace. He didn't know that those were on top, right? Sword of War and Peace, Runechanter's Pike for Marcel. So he's going to draw the Sword of War and Peace and cast it this turn? Is that smart? Let's first get in for just 1 damage, hold the spirit back. Considering whether or not he wants to cast that Sword of War and Peace or hold up mana for Mana Leak, and looks like he'll do that, hold up mana for Mana Leak. Tom checks. Darkside Shore is not an instant or sorcery. Now Tom thinking again through his options.
Now do you just send all 3 in?
I mean, I still don't see why sending the Delver is necessary.
Sure.
Definitely sending in the 2 spirit tokens, but
he knows his flashback is going to get Mana Leak.
Well, he actually wants the flashback to get Mana Leak, right? He really desperately wants to cast that Drog Skull Captain in his hand shortly. But he does know, that Marcel has Mana Leak. So, let's see what Tom ends up doing. And looks like he'll try to flash back Lingering Souls. That will get Mana Leaked. Now Tom has to make a decision. Does he want to play his Darkside Shores tapped? Or does he want to just play an island so he can represent Mana Leak? Unfortunately, he does not have 2 white mana, so he can't hold back Divine Offering here. But let's first get in with these spirit tokens. Flip those guys around. Marcel held back that spirit token and still didn't want to get in, or didn't want to block with it.
It's not attacking or blocking.
Yeah, weird. And Tom will resolve Delver of Secrets and pass the turn back to Marcel Zafra. Marcel plays and equips Sword of War and Peace, gets in with his Invisible Stalker. That's 3 plus 3 more from the cards in Tom's hand, or 4. So 7 total, dropping Tom down to, I believe, 9 life.
Standard winner box number 14 to the side event stage.
Marcel will gain 2 life, it looks like.
But Tom gets to
check. Ooh, Vapor Snag on the top, transforming both of his Delver Secrets.
Boy.
That's big. And now he has the ability to both... Oh, he doesn't. He only has 1 white mana. He has to choose. Which one does he want? Drog Skull Captain or to destroy that Sword of War and Peace? It's got to be destroying the Sword of War and Peace.
It's got to be destroy Sword of War and Peace. Keep his Vapor Snag, active for any kind of shenanigans.
I mean, he's likely going to revoke existence the Sword of War and Peace, Vapor Snag the Spirit Token and attack him for 8. Set up the kill next turn.
Yes, it sets up.
Close to the kill next turn. No, the kill next turn if Marcel has nothing. Which is unlikely, but possible.
Tom knows there's a Runechanter's Pike, though, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a +3 right now.
So Tom's just going to get in with all his guys. If Marcel wants to trade Spirit for Spirit, he can do that. Or even Trump block Insectile Aberration. That's what he does. Tom deals 5 damage to Marcel, dropping him to 15. So, I mean, the Divine Offering will gain Tom some extra life if he wants to. And that's actually sort of important. The 3 life might make a difference here. So Divine Offering takes out the Sword of War and Peace, getting Tom up to 12 life. He'll play his 5th land.
And he's got a Revoke Existence ready for the Runechanter's Pike.
Yep. So Marcel here has to consider if he wants to play and equip Runechanter's Pike or play Dungeon Geist to tap down an Insectile Aberration. It's more likely.
Yeah, but he knows the Dungeon Geist is going to get Vapor Snagged.
Sure. Okay. But I mean, dealing 3 here when he's facing down 8 damage.
Yeah, he can't afford to do that.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. So there's Marcel figuring out what he could do to pull out of this game. Flicking through his cards. Looks like he's going to cast Rune Chanter's Pike.
8-man judge
Is that one okay?
for the public event stage. 8-man judge for the public event stage.
Tom says it's good. Equip my Invisible Stalker, attack in for 4 damage. Tom goes to 8.
He's just hoping to like chain together some ponders.
On the following turn.
He doesn't know that there's a revoke existence in the future.
Sure. So Tom untaps. Draws for his turn. Falls to the Archangel.
Boy.
Maybe Tom just plays that and
Yeah, that seems fine.
gives these guys lifelink. I'll gain 8, go to 16. You'd have to go Thought Scour into Thought Scour into Thought Scour. I think actually Revoke
Into
Existence.
Ponder.
Yeah. Revoke Existence is probably the safer play, but yeah. Activate, gain 8, puts you to 7.
But you decided I go to 16.
Yep. Do your worst. Good luck.
This would have to be a pretty phenomenal series of instants and or sorceries.
I think Marcel drew Geist of St. Trap, so he's just going to get in for 4, dropping Tom to 12. Play Dungeon Geist. He knows about that Vapor Snag, though.
Players in the Standard Open, that's time in the round. Active player, finish your turn. You have 5
Vapor Snag on the Dungeon Geist.
Once again,
Marcel goes
players
to
in the
6.
Standard Open, that's
Tom
time in the
untaps, and
round.
that's the match. Tom Martell advances to the semifinals.
11 in a row.
Wow. Tom Martell, ladies and gentlemen.
11 straight matches.